Welcome to the Lost Previews, where we'll check out the preview chapters of The Lost Metal, the fourth Mistborn Era 2 novel. I am Danielle with 17 Shard, also known as Fell Candy, and with me is Marvin. Hi, Marvin.
Hi, I'm Paleo. Hi.
The fourth and final book of Mistborn Era 2, also called the Wax and Wane series, is coming out this November. Today we're going to be discussing the prologue of The Lost Metal, which is available on Arcanum as a recording and in the Brandon Sanderson newsletter. So just keep in mind, this series obviously will have major Mistborn spoilers and potential overarching Cosmere spoilers as well. So without further ado, the Lost Metal Prologue.
Yeah, and in case anybody cares about Cosmere spoilers, I don't think there will be any in this episode because
probably not.
There isn't too. It's not like the Rhythm of War prologue was, so it's a little milder. But anyway, so the prologue is from Wayne's point of view, and we basically start with him sitting at home playing with some cards, and we later learn that those cards have been stolen by him from. Oh well, he says he found them, but we know they are stolen. And he's waiting for his mother to come home, who's working in the mines. And while he works there, he does her old job of doing the laundry for people. And he also tries on people's clothes there because he wants to know how the people feel. Some foreshadowing, I guess, for how he'll turn out later. And then when his mother does arrive, she, of course, admonishes him for stealing those cards because she wants to bring up a proper good boy, and Wayne is not that necessarily. And they talk a little bit about his Terrace heritage because his father was a Terrace man, and he talks about how he's very un-Terrace and that Terrace usually, or Terrace men are usually supposed to do what they're told to, and Wayne is not like that at all. And
at all.
So, yeah, no. And then his mother asks him if he wants to hear a story, where he first says, no, I'm too old for stories, but then he does want to hear the story. And it's about Blatant Balm, the unwashed bandit. And yeah, it's more or less an Elemental Check story, actually, in that it's like Elemental Check is after Blatant Balm, and yeah, it's just a usual Elemental Check story that it's a little exaggerated in many places. But Wayne, while his mother tells him the story, also constantly keeps interjecting with like really gruesome details that aren't really in the story, but he adds them, so his mother is fine with that. And yeah, after the story, because Wayne sort of says, oh, is this story like a metaphor for the mine that he's working in? Because at the end, there's like Blatant Balm turns out to be a giant monster that swallows Elemental Check whole. And so Wayne also asks about whether he can be a good person, and his mother reassures him that everyone can be a good person if they want to. And then at the end, we learn that eventually, because previously his father and his uncle died in the mine, and then we learn that some time later, the mine collapsed again, and his mother died as well and didn't come home that night. Yeah. So ending on a bit of a bummer, but
yeah, kind of a tragic little backstory for him.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew that he grew up in kind of bad situation, but just giving us a little bit of background about who he was as a kid and how he was raised.
Mm-hmm, yeah. And I mean, he was a pretty nice kid after judging by this prologue. Like, he wasn't like Doug or whatever the other kid is called, that is like younger than him, but is much more
the 9-year-old.
Yeah, the 9-year-old who has a bad influence on him. I think Wayne is like, he lets himself be influenced by him, but he's better than that even then. So yeah, it
was really cute to see his personality as a kid, because it fits so much better for a little kid. You know, he steals and he comes up with justification for it, and he makes all these colorful jokes and things, but you can see how his mom was trying to raise him up to be good, even though he was kind of rambunctious.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it almost is like it all sort of serves as an explanation for why he is like he is when he's an adult, because maybe I could see it like his mother died and he wanted to keep some of this like childhood memories in a way, and so he never really grew up because he then got into like worse stuff and became more of a criminal. So he never quite learned how to become the good person, and so now Wex and the others have to help him find that out. Is sort of how you can read it. But yeah, I love how we all see all his mannerisms, how they have evolved so early in his childhood, like how he puts on the other people's clothes to figure out how they feel. That's essentially Wayne. Yeah,
that's him at his core.
Yeah,
it was also kind of interesting. I was thinking the whole time as I was reading and listening to it as Brandon Sanderson was reading it, and I was thinking, why did he choose this story as the prologue? Like, why did he start it with? Because he did mention that he likes to start this series with a flashback, and it's been Lessie and Wax, but.
Yeah.
Why did he start it with Wayne's background, and what is in this prologue that's foreshadowing for later on in the book?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, it's making me wonder if like the mine might have something to do with it, or maybe it's because he mentioned like, why does everything in stories always happen in threes and stuff? So it's making me wonder, like, maybe that's like a little nod to what's going to happen in the story. It's setting the tone for it.
I think it's definitely also just Brandon poking a little fun at overall like storytelling, but I could see maybe they come back to his town even like, because we know they are bound for the Roughs or like the border cities, so maybe he grew up around there and it brings back some memories for him. I could see that happening. Yeah, I do think that Brandon just in general wants to give him more of a. Wayne has gotten some development in the last few books, but he's pretty much not as much as Wax or Steris or Marasi. He's always been this sort of like funny sidekick so far only, and
like
with
comedic relief.
Yeah, there were hints at some depth there, but we haven't really explored that yet, and I feel like we are going to see that explored more in Lost Metal, because that's the last book where we can explore it. So.
True.
Unless he becomes
a world hopper.
I mean, maybe he and Marasi open up like a detective agency in Shadesmar, and so
you never know.
Like
yeah. Although it could also be like, this is a big bang for the end of his story, and so we wanted to start it off with a story that kind of puts him in a more human aspect, and then something happens, which would be very sad.
Yeah, definitely. And I think because Wayne is a very, let's say, controversial character in the fandom, because the way he treats women or acts around women isn't has problems. Let's say that, because how he treats Renette or the girl whose father I think he killed, or like I think the father it's not very healthy, that relationship. And I almost wonder how Brandon will, so whether he gets redeemed almost in some form in Lost Metal, or just ensuring how that develops. This is what I'm interested in.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we see that he had a good relationship with his mother, and then she just doesn't come home from the mine. So he's definitely going to be traumatized from that. Already being traumatized by his father dying in the mines, and then his abusive, what was it, uncle?
Yeah.
Who built the table, and he got smashed into bitty bits by billion rocks. So, yeah.
I think in general, like the prologue just puts his later behavior in some context that was sorely needed. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because I guess it also takes something for him to have already grown up to be so gruesome in how he thinks of stuff, that he is really into that in the gore and things like that. But yeah, it's also just shows how later on he isn't that different, as we already said.
Yeah, definitely. I don't really have anything else to say about the prologue, to be honest.
Yeah, me either. It's like I said, it's not at all like Rhythm of War, where we
Right.
talked about the prologue alone for 90 minutes, I think, or at least an hour. So yeah, it's just a nice little story, I think, and
Yeah. All right. Well, that was just a small discussion about a very short chapter in this book, the prologue. We would love for you to come and discuss the prologue and then the further chapters on 17thshard.com. Join us on our Patreon, our Discord, our forums, and any other social media you see us on for all of your Brandon Sanderson content discussion. Bye!
bye.